It was a dramatic return for the Premier League, with 31 goals scored, 3 red cards, huge upsets, sensational debuts, emotional returns and stunning strikes. Like in all walks of life, there are heroes and there are villains, so let's look at who falls into which category after Matchweek 1. Here are the Premier League's heroes and villains. Starting on a positive note, our first hero is Wayne Rooney. The scene was set for a fairy tale return to Goodison Park for Wayne Rooney. All he had to do was come up with the goods on his second Premier League debut for the Toffees. And the local lad did just that, providing the only real moment of quality in a tight game between Everton and Stoke City. Starting the move himself, Rooney burst into the box like his old self and powered a header past the despairing Jack Butland, sprinting off to the corner to celebrate as if he was 16 once again. It's been a tough couple of years for Wayne Rooney, but at 31 the forward looks rejuvenated back on Merseyside and is our first hero of the week. From the good to the bad, what did West Ham left-back Arthur Masuaku find so funny about marking Romelu Lukaku? Just before the big Belgian headed home his and Manchester United's second goal, the TV cameras caught Masuaku, who was supposed to be marking Lukaku, giggling away at something whilst already being out of position. Unsurprisingly, Lukaku got on the end of Henrik Mkhitaryan's cross with ease, while the West Ham left-back was stood there with egg on his face. A note to Premier League defenders: if you're marking Romelu Lukaku, don't try and have a laugh and a joke with him because it won't work. Who knew? Arthur Masuaku, you are our first villain of the week. Since we've already mentioned him, our next heroes are Romelu Lukaku and his Man United teammate Nemanja Matic. The pair cost Jose Mourinho more than £100 million, but they're already showing their worth after sensational Premier League debuts at Old Trafford. While Chelsea is struggling with the squad depth after player departures and silly red cards, Matic seems to be flourishing after linking back up with Jose Mourinho, and the Serbian already looks to have settled into life in Manchester. As for Lukaku, what a debut. The new number 9 looks bang at it, scoring twice and he could easily have had a hat-trick. Mourinho's men have laid down a real marker early on, and Paul Pogba also looks to have gone up a level this year, making him look cheap at 89 million. Okay, maybe not, but Lukaku and Matic are our next Premier League heroes. Back to the villains, and what is going on at Chelsea? 2 red cards and an opening day defeat at home to Burnley is not the way you want to start your season if you're looking to regain your Premier League crown, but surely the Chelsea fans' reaction was a bit severe. The Stamford Bridge crowd didn't take long to turn, and I know it's not acceptable to be 3-0 down to Burnley, considering how bad they've been away from home, but the boos were thunderous for the opening day. This early in the season, you have to stick with the players, and while there is clearly tension behind the scenes due to the lack of transfer activity, which again seems odd considering the money they've spent on Morata, Rudiger and Bakayoko, the fans can't be going on like that 1 week into the season. Another Premier League villain has to be the Southampton Forwards. Their 0-0 draw with Swansea City made it 6 home games in a row in which the Saints have failed to find the net. Now that's not giving the St Mary's faithful value for money. The returning Charlie Austin is yet to start firing, Manolo Gabbiadini seems to have forgotten he was one of the hottest strikers in the league when he first arrived, and the midfield hardly look forthcoming with goals either. So either Maurizio Pellegrino needs to do some extra work on the training ground with his forwards, or dip into the transfer market, because scoring goals is surprisingly quite important in football. Back to the heroes, and how good was Kyle Walker-Peters on his Premier League debut? Yes, the jokes are all hilarious about his name in replacing the departed Kyle Walker, and I'm fairly sure they haven't got a Danny Rose-Peters to replace their want-away left-back. But names aside, it was a fantastic debut from the youngster, who faced a pacey Christian Atsu, who was intent on running at him all day. Walker-Peters looks to be another success story for the Tottenham Youth Academy, but fans will be praying his performances doesn't deter Daniel Levy from putting his hand in his pocket. Our next villain of the week is Jonjo Shelvey. What on earth was the Newcastle midfielder thinking? At what point does standing on the ankle of Dele Alli right in front of the referee come across as a good idea? Shelvey had struggled to get into the game all afternoon, and his temper got the better of him once again, costing his team when the game was level at 0-0. The midfielder's actions cost Newcastle the game, and it was made even worse by the fact he started the day as captain. What kind of example was he trying to set? Villain. We've got 2 more heroes, starting with Burnley. What a win. If you had money on Burnley beating champions Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, then you're either crazy, got more money than sense, or from the future. Whichever it is, it was the biggest shock of the weekend, as Sean Dyche's side dismantled the champions and took advantage of Gary Cahill's early red card. They even scored a couple of pretty good goals, working some neat free kicks rather than just lumping the ball into the box and playing the percentages, with Stephen Ward scoring the goal of the weekend. Huge start of the season for Burnley, who you write off at your peril. Next up, it's Huddersfield. What a story. Their first ever Premier League game, and they smashed Crystal Palace 3-0 away from home. It was a dream start for David Wagner and the Terriers, with new signing Steve Mounier scoring twice on his debut, having arrived from Montpellier. Most people will have tipped Huddersfield to finish bottom of the Premier League this season, which is fair enough considering how surprising it was that they gained promotion, but they've certainly shut a lot of people up by winning their opening game against a handy Crystal Palace side, although they didn't look it on Saturday. A perfect start, and the John Smith Stadium will be rocking on Sunday when they host Newcastle in their first ever Premier League game at home. And finally, our last villains of the week are the Arsenal and Liverpool defence. Time and time again, people have spoke about the failures of both teams at the back, as it continues to cost both Arsene Wenger and Jurgen Klopp. But what do they do about it? Nothing. While Arsenal were able to get the win, Liverpool dropped points away to Watford, but all 6 goals conceded by both teams were totally avoidable. Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it, and if this is going to continue, then both sides can kiss goodbye to a title challenge this season. So those are our Premier League heroes and villains for the week. Let us know who yours are in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.